People here, they feel in solidarity with the suffering Palestinians in Gaza who are right now facing bombardment by the Israeli military. Already more than 100 people are killed in Gaza. Most of them are civilians. And there is so much destruction of homes, hospitals, schools, refugee camps. So the situation is very, very difficult in Gaza. The people are suffering very much. And here their brothers and sisters in Bethlehem, they want to express their feelings. So you can see the Palestinians are going towards the checkpoint to express their protests, and Israelis are just shooting gas canister, tear gas canister, poisonous gas against them.
This is supposed to be Area A, which is Palestinian.
Yes, so this is Palestinian area. Israelis are not supposed to be here. They should not be coming and shooting at Palestinians here. But this is a violation of the international community and of United Nations laws and regulations.
And most of these are teenagers, aren't they? They're young people.
Yes, they are young people. To some of them it is a game, but down deep in their heart, they are feeling the pain of their brothers and sisters in Gaza who are under severe bombardments by the Israeli Air Force.
What do you say to those who say, well, it's all Hamas's fault for firing the rockets into Israel? It's the fault of the demonstrators here attacking the Israeli soldiers. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say to that, study the situation carefully. Look at the history of the occupation. Look at the history of the peace process and how much the Palestinians make concessions to the state of Israel in order to create a peace momentum, and how the Israelis have totally ignored all the peace efforts of the Palestinian people. So in my opinion, the Palestinians are the ones who are at assault, not just today or yesterday, but for the last 60 years they have been on assault. Their land have been confiscated. The settlements have been increasing. The walls have been imprisoning them. This is the real situation that most people in the West, they do not realize. And if they realize these things, they would not be blaming the Palestinian people.
And so what would your solution be to the situation?
Well, the solution is Israel needs to realize that strength and alone will not promote peace and justice in the Holy Land. It takes a genuine effort on the Israelis to sit down with the Palestinians in good faith and create a true peace momentum, a momentum that will bring about peace and justice, a momentum that will stop Jewish settlements in the West Bank, it will stop the wall, and it will stop all these things that are happening to aggravate and humiliate the Palestinian people.
Why do you think the Israelis haven't already made that step? We've been talking about peace for decades.
Well, this is out of greed for land. The Israelis want as much of the West Bank to be part of greater Israel, and there is no Israeli government that is willing to give up the West Bank in order for the Palestinians to make an independent Palestinian state in the West Bank.
Alex, thank you very much for sharing with us. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
So Alex is a Palestinian Christian. As he's a professor at the Bethlehem Bible College and a missionary for the United Methodist Church. And so that was a little bit of his perspective on what is happening in that land. And he must go through that checkpoint every day. He lives in Jerusalem. He was living in Jerusalem when I'm not going to tell the story because I don't know if I can tell it correctly, but he does need to go through the checkpoint every day to go to work in Bethlehem at the Bethlehem Bible College, and then to go home to Jerusalem in the evening. Janet Lewis is another one of our missionaries. She helps with creating. We have trips that people can go on, so they can volunteer in the Holy Land, and so she helps organize that. I also have a handout that it's a resolution that was put in place about how United Methodists should plan Holy Land tours, taking into account supporting the Palestinian people and really getting a fuller picture of the needs of the people there. And this is Kristen Brown with a clergy collar in the back, the one facing. She's been there since October last year. And so she, for a while, was having to leave every 3 months to renew her visa, but she now has a clergy visa, and so she's able to continue to work there for a year and not have to worry about whether or not she'll be able to return with her tourist visa. She had talked to me at one point too. One of the things that was interesting when I originally interviewed her when she was in the U.S. waiting for her visa is that there are not a lot of women pastors in Palestine, and so that was something that she's kind of learning to live with. That I think she said that there were 5, so trying to find that community. But she does a lot of great work with the volunteer teams as well, and she had been working at Seville and is now working in our Jerusalem office, the Methodist office. John Daniel Gore, we have a program for young adults, 18 to 30, is that right? And they can be mission interns, so they're kind of, they go for 18 months to a place that's outside of the country where they are from, and then they spend 18 months in the country where they're from doing peace and justice work. And so John Daniel, he originally wanted to go to the Philippines. First, I don't remember exactly why, but he had it in his head that that would be a good placement for him. And he met one of our former mission interns randomly at some event and learned about what was happening in Palestine. And at his annual conference, when something came up about the settlements, and he thought, well, of course, people are going to support this, support being against the settlements. Who wouldn't do that? And then he realized that nobody was getting up and speaking, and he got up and spoke to the issue. And so we thought, well, maybe this would be a good person to send. And so he's really an interesting person, and I think in many ways it's been hard for him to really take in the struggle of the people around him and to find his place and how to honor that and to just be there as a ministry of presence, which is really what he can do. And he's a very nonviolent, very peaceful kind of person, and so I talk to him fairly frequently as well. And we have on our website right now, this is a story that is about him. This was something that was on the wall that really stayed with me. I kind of mentioned at the beginning that once I came home, I just really had this sense of, well, now I have all of this information, and I kind of wrote to NYTS a couple of times, and I said, really, is there a way that I can kind of share what I've learned? And so I really appreciate that I've been able to be here today and speaking with you. I have a couple of more slides, but I'll run through them pretty quickly. This was, if you're interested just in learning more about the Palestinian perspective, I met Archbishop Elias Shakur, who wrote this book, Blood Brothers, and it's really interesting and a really good read. I read it on the airplane on the way home, and he just talks about the experience. He is a Palestinian Christian, and the book starts out in 1948 when the soldiers showed up in his community, and how he had to really come to terms with the difference of, well, these Jewish people that have guns are very different from my Jewish neighbors that I've grown up with. And then it's just him growing up with this backdrop of all of the different politics that were happening in the region. So I really recommend that book if you're interested in learning a little bit more and maybe doing a book study or something like that in your churches. Who Profits is an organization that we met with, and they really look at who profits, who is profiting in the settlements. The woman that was here before sitting with Abby, she was talking about wanting to get a seltzer maker, and I said, well, actually, Soda Club, which makes Soda Stream, I think it's called. It's a product you see it at Bed Bath & Beyond that makes soda, like seltzer for you, is made in a settlement. It's they have their company is based in one of the Israeli settlements, and so it's really one of the things that, as a church, that we're trying to say that's an easy thing that you can say if you want to boycott or not support products that are made in the settlements. And also they do hire Palestinians, but they're just not treated very well at all. And they don't have to pay taxes either because they're in this kind of hidden area. And these were two young women that really were passionate about the Who Profits organization. They're volunteers. One is Palestinian, one is Israeli. And they just were really great to talk to, so I appreciated their time. And actually, when we drove onto the settlement, the woman on the right, she could have been arrested as a Palestinian. She was not possessed with us going into just driving through the settlement. The BDS is another kind of boycott strategist that we met with, and really looking at ways that organizations can divest. He really, this is Omar Barghouti. He really made the case that this is like South Africa apartheid, and we can really, if we want to make a difference as a church in particular, that we can start kind of looking at the similar strategies that broke down the apartheid in South Africa. These are just some different ways that Kairos has asked that we consider, again, when we go and visit, how we might honor the people that are living there. And I don't think I'm going to go through all of them, but they are on your list. Wadi Fukin, I got an email from Michael Yoshi, who's a former board member of ours, who's very passionate and very involved in his church and his conference in supporting Wadi Fukim, and he's just put this petition online and is asking that he asked me to share it with you and with others as well. So if you would have a chance to go online and want to think about something that you can do, it's a letter to the Lantos Human Rights Commission that says, Friends of Wadi Fukim has submitted a request that the Lantos Human Rights Commission hold a hearing on the human rights violations in Wadi Fukim. Given the urgency of the situation, we request the hearing to be scheduled in the first quarter of 2013. So that's one way. If you're looking for something immediate that you can do when you leave here today, if you would think about going and signing that petition. We also have a community development program in Wadi Fukim helping to create some livelihood projects. We have beekeeping so that the people that are there can continue to be there and be economically supported. So that's something that starting in 2013 we'll also be able to channel donations through the General Board of Global Ministries. David Wildman is a colleague of mine, and he really wanted to be here today, but he is in South Korea today, and he asked me to also point you to the U.S. campaign to end the Israeli occupation and the occupation.org, which has a lot of information on their website about concrete ways that you can really address this issue with Congress. So that's pretty much where we are, and I don't know if you have questions or